even when I'm about to make a score, just harboring a little bit of resentment towards the busting up of the PGA Tour, where they're scrambling trying to find some identifiable commodity, one of whom would be Rory McIlroy. If they could get McIlroy, they get to a kind of semi-Tiger Woods kind of stature in terms of winning. It would certainly be a pleasant transformation for them than trying to sell Scotty Scheffler, who the only time he got anybody excited is when he got arrested. He was dragging that cop around like he was Randy Moss, which was a bullshit thing. I mean, when you really look at it, how does it? I understand that not everybody would recognize Scotty Scheffler, but you're a cop who's assigned to kind of monitor the traffic at the gate going into the golf course, and you're going to go ahead and give this guy a hard time and take him away in handcuffs? Get the fuck out of here. He's leading the tournament.
Yeah, exactly.
He's 2 feet from the gate. You couldn't just wave him in?
The whole thing was
He's hanging onto the car door like he's surfing. That was ridiculous.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
20 seconds to go. One last gasp for Edmonton. Bouchard's pass didn't click with Draisaitl. 12 seconds to go. Florida trying to end it up against the wall, which would be fitting. 3 seconds to go. The Florida Panthers have won the Stanley Cup.
10 seconds left. 2-1 Panthers. A dream 30 years in the making is a reality. Whoa. The Florida Panthers have won the Stanley Cup.
Lord Stanley is coming home. You always will have a place in South Florida. Oh, my God.
The Panthers have won the Stanley Cup for the first time in franchise history.
Yeah!
Start the celebration, South Florida. The Panthers have done it.
Stanley Cup champions!
Welcome to the show. That became a thing of who could scream the other guy with the joy and exuberance of winning the Stanley Cup. That was Doug Plagans and Bill Lindsay.
Yes.
The second one on the radio broadcast. So Lindsay's certainly entitled to express himself in that fashion, no? To go Mandich plus on that? No?
He's a lifer. I mean, he was there. He was literally the guy
there in the beginning.
Yeah.
30 years he's been going through this bullshit with this franchise. Who was the sort of bogus Fugazi? What was the guy? What was it? John Spano? What was the name of the guy that bought the Islanders, even though he didn't own the shirt on his back?
Yes.
John Spano. And then, of course, I had some personal dealings with Bruce McNall, who did have money at one point, or at least the appearance that he had cash. And he ended up going to prison on a fraud charge. It wasn't that he didn't have the capital to maintain his ownership position with the LA Kings, and did some interesting things out there. He was the guy that brought Gretzky over. Hockey didn't really have too much meaning. I remember going to hockey games, Lubie, in LA when I was living out there. And this is mid 70s to the early 80s. And nobody gave a shit. We had, some decent players out there with the LA Kings, and they would fill half the arena. And really, we're not a big draw. The Lakers were kind of just coming into the position that they have enjoyed now for many, many years. There had been some indifference about the Lakers when Cornell Warner was their best player before they made the acquisition of Kareem. And yeah, so the Panthers, even though the LA Kings, even though they had Marcel Dion, one of the great players of all time, not spoken often enough in the parameters of being among the best of all time, and was a delightful guy and a great ambassador for the sport. But people weren't really paying that much attention to him until McNell brought in Wayne Gretzky, and then they became an item and an attraction in Los Angeles. But for 30 years here, we weren't sure. I guess for 27 of them, the last 3 years, there's been rise for hope, is there not? Oh, yeah, we do have Dave Hyde. Wow, coming off 2 trips to Edmonton, back-to-back trips to Edmonton. Dave Hyde from the Sun Sentinel. Did a great job. Jim Sarney sent me his words immediately
They were great.
in the aftermath of the Panthers winning, and just brilliantly done. We can see why you're the top guy on the scene here, Dave Hyde, and we appreciate you taking time to help us put this all into perspective. Thanks so much for joining us from the Sun Sentinel, the great preeminent columnist here in South Florida, the great Dave Hyde with us here on the show. David, how are you?
I'm good. I come to you today from downtown Edmonton. I just missed that place so much that I felt the need to go back.
Were you there long enough to actually, take in any of the lifestyle? I mean, was there anything redeeming about being in Edmonton besides that, you had a couple of hockey games there?
Evidently it gets really cold there in the winter, so I was glad to be there in late June. So, yeah, I got enough of a taste of Edmonton to realize that it made me think it's the Youngstown of Canada.
You're waiting for a Boom Boom Mancini fight, huh? That's the only entertainment attraction there. Well, it was a great series. I don't know that you could have asked for much more. People that question hockey, and we have people that equate it with soccer over the years and say, "Well, Defo, how come you're always talking in disparaging terms about soccer being the most boring game ever invented, coming out of a mutant society where people had no arms?" And they compare it to hockey and say, well, they go back and forth in hockey, but they don't do it at lightning speed on skates like they do. And for a scoreless third period, that was about as exciting a scoreless portion of a game as I've ever seen. What were your thoughts overall on the series? And if you can put into perspective what this will mean to the legacy of South Florida sports and the Panthers organization.
Well, right now, 5 of the first 6 most read stories on the Sun Sentinel website involve the Panthers.
Nice.
And for the previous 20 years, if they were ever in the top 10, it meant something dramatic happened in the franchise.
Yep.
So that sort of tells you what the Panthers did in the past, couple weeks, much less few years, getting to this point. But the third period, you know what, that game, just going into the game, and I put it out on Twitter, can a building feel nervous? And because it just felt that way going into that game. So much was riding on that game, and then they're leading 2-1 in the third period, and that conclusion had such extremes to it. I don't think I've covered a game with such extremes between either the Panthers get the first franchise championship or they're the first team since 1942 and really only the second team in major sports to lose a championship series after being up 3-0. And so much rode on that, not just this team, but the legacies. Paul Maurice coached 1,800 games. He's the 4th winningest coach. And yet if he loses this, that's going to be the first thing people – instead he wins it. He's going in the Hall of Fame. Same for Bobrovsky. After a few marginal games, he gets back to the Bobrovsky that we've seen much of the playoffs in Game 7. And now he has 2 Vezina trophies, a Stanley Cup. He's going in the Hall of Fame. And so a lot of legacies beyond the teams, what's their result? Where are they going? Beyond the team. And also, I tell you what also wrote about the last 24 hours, the Panthers have celebrated that title. We can argue what's the best title between the Heat, the Marlins, and now the Panthers in recent years, but I don't think anybody's celebrated it better than the Panthers, taking it to the elbow room, taking it to the ocean. There's video of Barkov taking the cup to his neighbors out at 4 a.m. I mean, they're number one at celebrating with the people.
So when they were up 3-0, I remember reading parts, if not an article, from a gentleman who I do revere a great deal, saying, Game 4, Game 5, don't worry, South Florida, the Cup's coming home. And I remember thinking to myself, God damn it, Dave Hyde. So I don't blame you, obviously, and they did win, so they back you up. It's funny because that is the sentiment that should have existed, right? Even neurotic and anxious fans like me were like, yes, I don't know when they're going to win it. I didn't see 8-1, but I thought Game 4 was a little too easy. I figured Game 5 or 6, but to go 7 was a little ridiculous. But it is what it is, right? As long as you win, you get the narratives that you want. And if you lose, it goes the other way. To me, it got hairy in those 3 games. But Evan Rodriguez said something that it explained a lot to me, and it made sense. And as long as they won, it was fine with me, because it is the Stanley Cup. It is by far the toughest trophy. And your first one, it's probably going to feel a lot like that. When he said, look, we wanted it so bad that we started pressing and we weren't playing our game. I don't know if we were cheating to offense, but we weren't playing our game. For some reason, game 7 felt like there was no pressure. Everyone just assumed we'd lose. Everyone was giving them a cup. We were at home, and we just finally got back to our game. And you saw that. And when they played that game, these playoffs, where they put defense first and just got goals here and there, they found a way to win. And that also seemed to be the way that Bobrovsky shined. Is that what you saw? Like, what did you think of that 3-game drought to then what we saw in game 7?
Yeah, where did the Panthers go? What happened to the way we're used to seeing them play? Bobrovsky's sort of a signal to the rest of the game, in that if he's playing well, it also speaks of, okay, everything in front of him is doing well too. And really that's, the question was, in game 4, they brought, I remember walking into the arena, and I walked by all this group of Panthers, and it was family and some office workers who I recognized, and they were waiting to go in the arena. The Panthers people were collecting them to bring them into the arena, and that evidently became a not them going in the arena, but them being there, and the pressure of all the players all of a sudden realizing that, oh, this is the moment, and then they lose 8-1. To back up Rodriguez's words, I thought Paul Maurice said it right. We had to lose 3 games to learn how to win 4. And
that was great.
It took them a few games to get back to, okay, this is how we play and all that stuff. But they sure pushed the limit, and I don't think everybody expected them to lose game 7, but it was a toss-up game after what had happened a few games before. It could have gone either way, and I thought Verhaeghe's goal to start the scoring and get a 1-0 lead, even though Edmonton came right back and tied it up, just to get that goal. Okay, gave them confidence and belief. If Edmonton had scored first, I think, that would have been a whole different night.
I've seen it a few times in boxing, though, and it happens a lot in hockey, where some guy's getting pummeled the entire fight, and then you can think of Hercules Mike Weir. He lands one punch in the final round and ends up becoming a heavyweight champion after being annihilated throughout the bout. In hockey, though, you'll see these periods where and Edmonton was putting immense pressure on Bobrovsky. It looked like they were certain to score, and all of a sudden the puck comes out of there. I guess, what was it? Kulikov tipped it out, and comes back the other way, and then you get the Reinhardt goal, and that turned out to be the difference maker at a time where it looked like Edmonton was about to overcome everything. And then we would have had a different story, Dave Hyde. I don't know if you had one prepared, trying to quantify the level of choke that this would have been had they lost. Now we, as you might imagine, went with an archaic, arcane reference of Mama Cass. Would have been the biggest choke since Mama Cass, which probably would have been a bad reference for a lot of reasons. First of all, people don't know who she is. Second of all, she didn't actually choke on a ham sandwich. It turns out that the story is not true, and it would have been in poor taste even if it were. Did you have any thoughts along those lines? Because, I mean, you don't want to put your team in the history books in terms of permanent infamy, which that's one that you never can erase had they lost this thing.
Yeah, failure, disaster, meltdown, catastrophe, to the ultimate choke word all that would have been thrown out there at them, which is why, to get back to what we were talking about, that third period, going into a lead with the third period, did Edmonton have one more comeback in them? Could the Panthers hold on? I mean, can you imagine if they not only lose, but they lose after leading 2-1 going into the third period, and then something happens? So it was such tension in that night that I do want to get back to one thing that Lubie said earlier, which has always struck me because I've heard it many times through the years and certainly through this series. The toughest trophy to win, or however they phrase it. I heard that Bettman said it in the award ceremony. Canadian writers were saying it, and in fact, I finally threw out. I go, why is this the toughest to win? Well, what makes it any tougher than any other trophy to win? And that sparked a media conversation. Canadian writers arguing among each other.
Well, the physicality of it. I understand. Look, no sport is easy at the highest of levels. When you graduate levels, whatever game you're playing, you go from high school to college or whatever, and all of a sudden the pace of the game is just exponentially different. The physicality, though, of winning 4 series in hockey always impresses me, Dave. I think that every year and I believe that. It sounds like cliche.
I get it, tough, but why tougher? What's the easiest trophy to win then? If this is the toughest,
yeah, that's the problem.
What's the easy?
Yeah.
I get it's sort of like when everybody says this is the best team sport of them all. That's another one that goes out there. That's okay. Well, they might say different, and if a football player says it might be different. Hockey can say the same, or basketball say the same. So I don't know. It's just amused me almost that hockey has branded this as the toughest trophy to win.
I think back though too to last year when you had all of these guys, the core of the team essentially, all playing in more pain than the English patient, and they still go out there and attempt to go out there and do it. And you would imagine that's the same. I don't know that you see that so much in other sports. You get Porzingis, who's now not even going to play for Latvia. I guess he needs surgery on his injury. But you'll see in other sports that these guys are not even in the lineup, and yet in hockey that they all feel compelled to play, which is pretty incredible. What would have been weird if the Stanley Cup though went in the ocean? Were you out there at the Elbow Room, Dave? Because the Cup went in the ocean with Kachuk, and I thought, what if some riptide rips this thing away? And it ends up on the Hollywood beach, and some guy with a big belly and a thong bathing suit ends up riding on the Stanley Cup from Montreal, and he would have to think that he had died and gone to heaven. That's pretty crazy, but really good stuff.
Can the cup rust?
That was my only question.
Salt water off?
I don't think it rusts, although I can attest to this. I lived on one of the intercoastal canals for many years, that the salt will ruin everything, including your relationships. So, it definitely can be detrimental. I wouldn't be surprised if a few of those names from the 40s got erased off of the cup. All right, well, where does that leave us now? Because there's always the question, can they go out there and repeat? Where are they going to be at? Are they going to be contenders for a while? You would think this Bill Zito has been somewhat magical, if not completely so, in the front office to this point, bringing this team to the level that it's at. I know, there are free agents and people to consider. Is it too soon after the euphoria of winning the cup to try and contemplate where that leaves the team, what kind of springboard that'll be for the immediate future?
No, because I think they said they had 3 days before it goes into free agency. So, and you got Reinhart, you got Montour's free. I assume from all the talk that they're going to bring back Reinhart. Montour probably not. And that is the good thing about winning a title is players get paid. Some get paid here, some get paid elsewhere. But they're going to make money, and I like it this way as opposed say the Dolphins haven't won anything, and guys are getting paid. And look, I'm all for players making whatever they can make because I see the owners making tons of money whenever they sell a team. So, but it's more. I don't know, from a fan standpoint, it's more. You appreciate it more when they've won and they're getting paid, or they're on the verge of winning or something. And so, look, Reinhart had 57 goals. He's going to – and the other thing that's interesting in hockey is there's a pecking order more than – in other sports, it's the most recent contract breaks the record, right? And you see now on the Dolphins, you got one receiver making more than the other, and now Tyreek Hill's going to have to make more and all that. But in hockey, there's a pecking order. They can't pay Reinhart more than Barkov is the common and prevailing thought among people who follow the game, because that's how it works at every team. And so, Barkov's making $10 million and $88 million is the cap. And so Reinhart, if the thinking goes, can't make more than that. And it's interesting that they have all these little cultural ideas like that in the game. I guess even back to, it's the toughest trophy to win. Things that govern what you can ask for and what a team can give. And so, but yeah, can they win again? To get back to that question, I just got to email the preseason
schedule. I saw that yesterday. Yeah. I'm like, Jesus, guys.
September 22nd. 3 months.
A day.
3 months off.
Wow.
Yeah, give me 1 day.
Yeah. So, look, they were in the finals last year. They won this year. Their core is young. Bobrovsky's 35. That's goalies can play longer, but that's getting old. But gets back to Bill Zito's had the Midas touch in the past few years for this team. And you look at when any team, any sport, you need that guy. You need that guy sitting in that seat making those decisions. Most of them being right ones, and he certainly has. And so until he starts missing, I think they always have a chance to contend right now.
I know we got to wrap things up. I know you have things to do, and we have the one and only Tony Segreto coming up next. But and I don't mean to ask where does it rank in the sense that 1 or 2 is this the best ever? Look, there's a lot of great titles South Florida's been privileged to have. But what does this title mean? Because we've actually talked a lot about the Panthers through the years. You've covered them and tried to talk Panthers throughout the years. It hasn't been easy. Finally, people care. To me, that's huge. As a guy who's born and raised in Sunrise, Florida, who's a Broward guy through and through, to have a Broward professional championship. And Broward County has really supported the Panthers. Palm Beach, Dade have been sort of there, but you're sort of seeing them find their way there. Like, what does this title mean for that organization when it comes to South Florida?
Yeah, well, it is a Broward-centric organization. The arena was built and paid for by a Broward city, as the Heat are more a Dade-centric city. Mickey Arison's Mr. Miami. Wayne Huizenga bought the Panthers. He used to always bug him when he flew around the world and people weren't sure where Fort Lauderdale was. So I remember him saying that. So, but what it means to this franchise is it does put them on the map. Not so much in Broward, but just in the sports world. And for a franchise that struggles so much, you talk about putting the fun and dysfunction. For 2 decades, they were a borderline disaster at times on the decisions they made and the rotating. What did they have? 16 coaches and for us, and just that just cut out whatever fan base they had. And the story of Doug McClain, who was a coach in '96 when they went to the Cup, and how things disintegrated after that. He was he has a place in Delray Beach, and he was in a bar with his son, getting something to eat, and they asked if they could the TV could be switched to the Panthers game, and the guy said, the NFL doesn't play tonight.
This is local.
And that sort of sums up where they were on the map here, that nobody thought of them. And so this puts them on the map. Again, 5 of the 6 stories, most read stories in Sun Sentinel right now. I thought I'd never see something like that. And so this is their moment. And can they build on it? Can they, they've had sustained success now 2 years in a row. If they could keep this level, contending, not necessarily winning every year, obviously, but being in the discussion every year for a while, then that's gonna help build hockey and help root them into people's thinking here.
All right, only a matter of time. When does the request come for a new arena? They possibly make any money with the deal that they have there. This sweetheart deal they carved out with Sunrise. I thought I saw the mayor of Fort Lauderdale saying, "Well, it's only a matter of time. They'll be playing right here on the beach." So, ante up your money, taxpayers. Dave, brilliant stuff. We thank you so much for being with us. It's always a pleasure having you on the show, and continue the great work. And we appreciate what you do every day with the world of sports, and really great perspective on the Florida Panthers. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Defo. We'll do it when the Dolphins and the Hurricanes win in the fall.
Oh, Jesus.
I don't know if I'll be around. I'm hitting 73 next week. Thanks, Dave. Always a pleasure, my friend.
Thanks.
We're going to come back with the great Tony Segreto, who is enjoying the cool confines of Vermont, although the entire nation, I believe, is under a bizarre heat wave. We may be the coolest spot on the planet right now here in South Florida. And, of course, Tony's appearance is brought to you each and every week by the great people at Texas Roadhouse. I believe Ed Garcia going to be with us on the program as well. Interesting story on the news that I caught just before we started doing the shows this morning, Lubie, about Texas Roadhouse. And it's always something very favorable. You're seeing all these chain restaurants, so-called chain restaurants, having to close up shops. Hooters is, closing up stores, and all of these other places. Dead Lobster's out of business, but Texas Roadhouse continues to thrive for a lot of reasons. So we'll come back with Tony in a moment. Now that
The time.
it's 8:40.
Here, let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Draisaitl down to our right. Forsling in the corner. He'll try. Fans to their feet. Bouchard. Pass missed Draisaitl. Down to our right. Forsling in the corner. He'll try and hold this. 10 seconds left. 2-1 Panthers. A dream 30 years in the making is a reality. Whoa! The Florida Panthers have won the Stanley Cup.
Lord Stanley is coming home. You always will have a place in South Florida. Oh, my God.
The Panthers have won the Stanley Cup for the first time in franchise history.
Yeah!
Start the celebration, South Florida. The Panthers have done it.
Stanley Cup champions!
What we gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Texas Roadhouse.
Welcome back to the show. Good to have you guys with us on this fine Wednesday. If it's Wednesday, we're going to be talking old school stuff with Tony Segreto, legendary broadcaster here in South Florida, and a real gentleman, and we welcome him into the show. Tony's appearance brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. A few minutes, we'll talk with Ed Garcia of Texas Roadhouse. Also, Tony, how are you? And I would imagine, I don't know, do you get reception there in that log cabin in Vermont? Could you watch the game, or did you go to a local sports bar in Burlington? What happened?
If I hold wires together on the top of a house and look on a TV, yes. Defo, Lubie, what a moment for South Florida.
Yeah.
What a moment. And God bless Wayne, and I look at Wayne much differently than a lot of people do. And he brought me into his office 31 years ago, and he said to me, "I'm thinking about bringing hockey here. What do you think?"
Did you walk out? What happened?
Laugh at him? You thought he was joking.
Nurse.
Boston.
Needless to say, I said yes, but it was long coming. It's just a great story, and I'd love to hear what Wayne Heisinger Jr. has to say about it, because anybody in the Heisinger family who knows the Wayne and knows the history has to feel really, really, really good, because it means a lot to South Florida, and it means even more to them, I think.
Took 30 years, so it was a long time coming. They had very few seasons where you even had the slightest expectation that they would be in a position to win a Stanley Cup. Now, after last year, of course, people were optimistic that would be a springboard for more success, and they still tinkered with the team. This guy, Bill Zito, did an unbelievable job, and you couldn't help. Honestly, Tony, I don't like to get soapy like you do sometimes with some of your sentiments about sports, but you couldn't help but love these guys when you saw it. And it's true, really. Had the Panthers not won it, I'm sure it would have been true of Edmonton. But I don't know, and we were just talking, it's hard to define these things or quantify them. I don't know that there's a closer-knit group than the players that participate on a hockey team in the NHL.
No,
in terms of team unity and all of that stuff that we always talk about that's supposedly so important in the games that are being played.
I agree with you, Defo, that this team is so close, and they're so. I can see them drinking out of the cup. I can see them going in the water with it. I can see the parade route filled with people. Just great for South Florida. Great for the sport to see another team win, and great for everybody. I think you know what? Even if you're an Edmonton fan, this series was so well played and so fought that they couldn't help but cheer for the Panthers just for that last second, even if they're an Edmonton fan, because it's once in a lifetime. It's a once in a lifetime deal.
Tremendous excitement all the way through. We were just talking with Dave Hyde, and I was thinking, well, wait a minute, the third period, you were sitting on a razor's edge the entire time, whichever way you were going. And it was a scoreless period.
It was a scoreless period.
Yeah.
It was a scoreless period. And how many shots on goal did Edmonton get?
80.
They seemed to own the goal. The goal was starting to look like a soccer goal at different points in the third period, and they couldn't get the puck to go in the net. Let's bring in Ed Garcia from Texas Roadhouse Restaurants, also fine sponsors. I thought maybe we would see like a Beezer jersey on Ed Garcia today. How are you, my friend?
I'm celebrating Christmas. I'm here in Lake Park, Florida, and we do dress-up days because we're training 200 new Texas Roadhouse roadies.
Wow!
And so it's a holiday dress-up. So I'm rocking my holly sports coat, and then I got Bill Murray wearing a Christmas cap on for a T-shirt, but ready to rock and roll. And I think it partially celebrates the Panthers a little bit after 30 years, 18 coaches. And now all South Florida has, 4 different cups in a sense. It's pretty awesome. Very, very exciting stuff here in Lake Park, Florida.
Is this a new restaurant?
That is correct. That's actually the restaurant in the background. Finally got all the neons up and running.
That's great.
Yes, I am super excited. Different cities have different laws. And so we got to do all the bells and whistles here with the LED. And we're going to be opening up July 1st.
Nice.
Today is day 3 of training at Texas Roadhouse.
It's got to be pretty intense. Did you see? I'm sure you're aware of the story. I would imagine all Texas Roadhouse people and people involved with the restaurants saw this on the news about this couple that's trying to hit. How sometimes sports fans want to go to every baseball stadium or every football stadium. this couple is traveling America to try and hit every Texas Roadhouse restaurant.
With over 600.
Yes. Yeah.
Have you seen this? I saw it was like a lead story on the ABC News I was watching this morning.
I was restaurant number 400. They hit all of South Florida already. Basically, all the restaurants, Daytona all the way down. And I want to say Florida City was number 400. Pretty cool. I got a picture with them. And I should know their names, but apologize off the top of my head. But yeah, it is really, really, really cool. They got this cool little car. They are the nicest people ever. As soon as the doors open up, they come in. They kind of have a couple of things that they normally try, and they switch it up every so often. And they've been to more Texas Roadhouses than I have. I'm probably in the 300 range, and they're well over that. I think it is the coolest thing.
Have they had everything on the menu? Have they had everything?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, they had. And then what was really cool is that when they're here, fun fact, I know I talk about the bread pudding all the time because Lubie and everybody's in love with it. But when they're here, my Texas Roadhouses have churrasco. We do it's a Roadhouse churrasco. It's a little bit of a spinoff, but we take this awesome flat iron with a homemade chimichurri sauce that we make that is absolutely out of this world, and they really enjoyed that.
Wow. I don't even know what to say. Where do they go now, Ed?
Well, I'll tell you, they've done the Southeast, so I bet you they're going to be heading out west right now. They work with our marketing department because they love kind of tracking their travels. But I know that they have conquered Florida. Now, Lake Park is brand new. We actually just opened one up in St. Augustine as well, so they'll probably be making their way back. I know they do have some family in Orlando as they swing through. But anyway, hey, if you guys are available this weekend, go ahead, let me know. We have friends and family this weekend.
Okay.
For some of you, I use the word friends loosely.
I was going to say,
I'm just joking. Drinking buddies might be better. But, hey, if you want to come check out and let the employees practice a little bit, you guys have an open invitation. Let me know. It is a little bit far. Lake Park, Florida is just north of West Palm, south of Jupiter. Okay. We're not too far from Peanut Island. So, Lubie, if you want to bring your yacht and pull right up, and let us know. But that's going on this weekend. But Monday, July 1st, we're going to be opening up. Super excited, 4:00. And we're ready to rock and roll and bring another Texas Roadhouse close to you.
Hey,
I saw a thing. Sorry, Tony. But I saw a thing on Let's Eat South Florida, the Mike Mayo restaurant page on Facebook, which is 155,000 or so strong. And people were asking, hey, where can you get in South Florida the best jalapeno poppers? And I immediately thought of the
Snake bites
variety that you do at Texas Roadhouse.
That's right. Snake bites takes us 2 days to make. They're absolutely awesome. One of my favorite things, you choose the dipping sauce, ranch if you want to cool it off a little bit. We also do have in our Texas Roadhouse down here in South Florida, we have that spicy ranch. So I think it's an awesome accompaniment to the snake bites.
Does the bread pudding with the Tabasco sauce and all of that stuff, does that ship well?
Oh, you know what? We are working on it, and it will ship well. Tony, if you want some, let me know. Are you back up in Vermont? Because you got a really cool background. I don't know. I was waiting to see the cup back there on that shelf.
I'm back in Vermont.
Hey, we're working on it. I'll tell you what's really awesome about the bread pudding. These come in holidays. Make sure you hit me up, but you can serve it as a dessert, and it's made from our very own bread. Absolutely awesome. We put that homemade honey cinnamon caramel sauce and a little bit of vanilla bean ice cream. Out of this world. Unfortunately, it's not low-cal, but who cares about being sexy anymore?
Well, you can use me as a guinea pig, and you can ship it, and I'll let everybody know how it ships.
All right. I'll make that happen. You can tell us about it next week.
Okay. All right.
A couple of things, Ed Garcia. Would you give two of the money if you were the Miami Dolphins, or would you torture him through the season, say something along the lines of, we're not going to negotiate till after the season? Would you let him play one more year before you committed to paying him all of his cash?
I would let him play one more year. The leaning out thing kind of threw me off a little bit, and again, I'm not a physical therapist or any of that fun sports doctor, exciting stuff. And, we'll see because, Tua, and I say this with all the love of the world, is, slightly fragile. He had an absolutely awesome season last year. But hey, I would sweat it out a little bit and, let the dice roll and, hey, let's see what happens.
All right. Well, good luck with the new location.
Thank you.
I mean, you mentioned something like that to Lubie, and that's why he had to step out for a second. He had to consult with Shirley what day and what time they're leaving for Lake Park. And the jalapeno poppers, your version there at Texas Roadhouse, I couldn't believe, how many people, once that was suggested, said, yeah, that's the stuff. And it really is. So,
Put that in.
thanks so much, Ed. Always a pleasure having you on the program. Thanks so much for being with us.
Put that in the package too, will you?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Throw some poppers in, yeah.
We love it.
Thanks a lot, Ed Garcia, ladies and
He
gentlemen.
is something, boy. He is a treasure. He is a treasure.
Great guy. I mean, that was a nice story. I saw that and I thought, wow, isn't that great? Because in the industry, it's not favorable right now for chain restaurants.
No.
And so, I mean, I know their concept is a little bit different because they have sort of an individually run,
Yes.
sort of home owned and operated type of equation there, even though it's a chain. But then you also see they're tremendous at keeping the consistency up anywhere around the country. I would imagine those people that have been to 400 of them found them very much the same, all with high quality and great value.
I think that the employees are vetted out. So all employees, they get a bad egg here and there, but all the employees are on board before they even step foot in, before they get trained. And I just think their concept is good, and it's you're going to have a bad meal here and there, but boy, consistency. That's it. And they do it better than anybody that I know of.
Offering you, I mean, the value really is insane there when you think about it, because
really
this is what's driving a lot of these chains out of the business is food cost and then all the other operating costs that now have escalated to proportions that are exponentially higher than they've been at any time in the past. All right, would you give Tua the money, Tony Segreto? What do you think? I mean, $50 million now the going rate for a quarterback.
No.
Tua's going to play this year for 23.
That's fine.
Has he? And
How
I mean,
much
you
more-
can't. I mean, I would imagine they have to have had some discussions about what they're going to do with this guy. It seems like this is their only option is possibly to just give him the money and keep the faith. But do you have that kind of faith in Tua Tagovailoa that he is a championship caliber NFL quarterback?
No.
Okay.
No.
Lubie, where do you stand on that one?
I just think it's funny. We've gone through the quarterbacks we've gone through for 20 years, and we still think like, how many more Cleo fucking Lemons do we need? Like, I understand. You're like, oh, he's not Josh Allen. Well, Josh Allen won a title.
There are only a few Marinos, only a few.
That's my problem. Like, guys, I understand you're watching Herbert Gunsling. Herbert's won the same amount of fucking playoff games as Tua. Like, look, it's a different world in sports, and I know people have this. Well, he's not top 3. He's not okay, but he's not bottom 3 either, guys. Like, he's not. Well, I don't know. I think the Dolphins are going to dolphin. And they give all these guys money, and he's a guy they won't give the money, and they're going to look around next year. He's going to have another MVP caliber year, which he did have last year. He was an MVP candidate until the last goddamn week, and they're going to go, no, sorry, Tua, let's franchise tag you. Okay, well, what's franchise tagging going to be? And he doesn't have to, I don't know. I think when you're seeing Jared Goff get paid, you've seen Stafford get paid, you've seen all these guys on the same exact level as Tua get paid, and he's the only one, Trevor Lawrence, who's a year younger than Tua and hasn't done that much more than Tua. They didn't make the did they even make the playoffs last year? Like, to me, it is what it is at this point. Like, I understand he's not Patrick Mahomes. Okay, thank you. Like, no one is. Like, yeah. So to me, at some point, you have to just realize this is a business of sports today. Is he the best quarterback? No. Is he the second or third? No. Is he top 7? Yes. Is he top 6? Probably. Okay. Well, this is what a top 6 to top 8 quarterback gets paid. So I understand those questions. I get it. But remember what the fuck we had. Like, it's so weird that, like, he's not Tanny. People keep going, well, in the fourth quarter, when they're down by 24, he doesn't bring them back. Okay. That doesn't mean he's Tannehill. Like, I guess I'm remembering the quarterbacks right here in a way South Florida fans aren't. It just was weird to me that Jared Goff and all these guys are getting held to a different. Kirk Cousins has gotten like 7 contracts. Tua's not Kirk Cousins. Like, I don't know. it's weird to me that Dak Prescott's going to get a third ridiculous contract before Tua can get a first, really, because he was on his rookie deal.
Okay.
No. Yeah. I mean, what you're saying is what everyone's saying. I just think it's funny. It's like,
yeah, I just don't think he's worth that money yet.
All right. Well, I mean, you would think none of these guys are with that kind of dough. I mean, and they're talking about putting a salary cap in. Brian mentioned this on the chat line for quarterbacks, but I don't know that that's going to put them in a situation where they're not paying $50 million a man, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that any of these. I mean, Lubie rattled off a bunch of guys that are all making this kind of money, and I don't know that any of them are worth it. But with the exception, maybe
worth it.
Mahomes would be worth whatever you had to pay the guy.
Are you worth what you make? Are you worth what you make? Am I worth what I make?
I would hope so. Yeah. I mean, we're in a different stratosphere here, Tony.
Well,
if I'm not worth what I'm making now, then I'm really in trouble because you may as well start throwing dirt on my grave. Jesus, Tony, that was a bad comparison. But the $50 million is the standard now for any top caliber quarterback. The Dolphins are going to have to dole it out. I don't know that it's a wise investment, but I don't know that you can totally attack Lubie's point, which is we've had Drek here for so long that having a guy that's pretty good is a big step forward in some ways. And who's lined up to? I mean, are they going to get somebody like this that's way better?
No,
that's a good question.
I think this. I don't think it's a wise investment. I think it's a have-to investment.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying he's earned the money. He hasn't won a playoff game. I am the first one to bitch and moan when Tua just falls short. I get it. It's just. So do we go back to what we had, hoping and wishing? Like, at least he's a starting quarterback, and you want to say he's top 10 to 12, fine. You can put him wherever you put him. He's top 15. Okay. So, like.
He's a manager. He's a game manager.
I don't know.
I don't know about that.
I think he's better than that. Like, that's my thing. Like, I don't know. Look, they're not going to do it. They would have done it already. So they're not doing it. They agree with you guys. We'll see what happens.
He's the most accurate passer. He's the most accurate passer the Dolphins have had in the last 10, 15 years. But can he electrify? Can he bring you back? And I don't know. That's the truth. But the reality is you got to pay him.
This is where they're at. Yeah, they have a big decision to make. And so far, they're sort of
what do I do?
dawdling, trying to hope it goes away. It's one of those things you're hoping goes away.
Hope it goes away. Hope it goes away. Yes, it does.
All right, we got to go away. Tony Segreto, so how are things up there in Vermont so far?
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's absolute. It's going to rain tonight. It's going to be in the high 60s tomorrow. It's heaven.
Beautiful. All right. Well, it sounds good. I mean, what we're dealing with sweltering heat like everybody else, and typical South Florida summer weather where you walk outside, it's sunny, and then the next thing you know, you're in a torrential rain.
Can I tell you one thing?
Yeah.
The weather people here say if it's 85, it is sweltering.
85.
Oh my God, it's hot. It's drink water, all this stuff.
Oh my God.
It can seem that way though because of the differential in the overall atmosphere.
It's
that 85 is melting temperature in Vermont, whereas here we can tolerate 95 and I figure it's a balmy day to go out there and just go out and ride a bike. All right, Tony, we love you, man. Have a great week, and there'll be a lot more on the plate. We got the Olympics coming up and all kinds of different things happening, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next week.
My daughter's going, so we'll give you first-hand report.
Are you going to go out? I mean, surprise her by making a little trip over to France?
Maybe.
When was the last time you and the wife were in Paris? I mean, it might be time to retake the vows. No,
maybe.
Nice.
Ooh.
Good for you.
Wow. Parlez-vous français. Very good, Tony. All right. The only French word we know is parley. And as we've been saying, the English translation of parley is you're fucked. So we'll leave you with that. Thanks so much for being with us, Tony. Always a pleasure, my friend. Tony Segreto, brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. All right, Lubie, how'd it go yesterday with the pizza judging on the Mayo Show?
It went very well.
Yeah? What happened?
In our estimation, we like Sicilian Oven number 1.
Oh, yeah? All right.
Tommaso's number 2. The other places sort of fell close after that. We had a lot of fun. Rod was really cool. And Josie was fantastic. And she's off to do some more TV. So we'll see her in the soon future. Bubbles and Pearl's a really cool spot. So check that place out in Wilton Manors. And it was a lot of fun. It was interesting. A couple of the pizzas, we were like, what the fuck?
Well, I mean, where were they made? They shipped them over there to be judged?
You weren't getting them at their best 100% because it was the morning.
So how could you possibly have a contest when it would be close anyway? I mean, you could take the worst piece of shit pizza, which I had the other day at a local casino. I mean, they would have been better off just handing it to you frozen. And it would have been one of the all-time frozen pizzas that had no facsimile representation whatsoever towards being a real pizza, and yet it was still edible. It's such a finite differential to determine which is the absolute best of the best because they're all pretty good for the most part.
That's sort of what look.
So then, if you're not going to get them fresh out of the oven to make the judgment, I mean, I don't know how you can.
Reheating pizza is not the best, but there was clear differences in the top two to the next two to the last two. So I feel bad that we judged them on those accounts.
Yeah.
But they all were judged in the exact same fashion. So
okay. And were you in agreement with Mayo? I mean,
yeah,
Mr.
we all were
himself?
pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, I think 2 and 3, or no, what was it? 3 and 4, because from 3 and 4 were really close. 1 and 2 was really close, and 5 and 6
was just a brick.
Like
nice.
5 and 6 were pretty.
All right. So where is this thing happening today?
So today, and you may not have to have a Defo appearance again. It's Stromboli's in Boca, and their restaurants are very small. And then we're doing Corvina in Boca at 4:30. We're doing Stromboli's at 2 p.m. and Corvina at 4:30. They do a really cool like happy hour thing where I think from 5 to 6 it's like 50% off everything, and it's in Boca. So it gets like it's fucking South Beach.
That's awesome.
Primetime South Beach on the weekend.
Might as well be Gucci bag night.
Yeah, it supposedly gets insane.
Good.
We'll be there from 2 to 3 Stromboli's in Boca and 4:30 to 5:30-ish Corvina in Boca.
All right, sounds good. All right, well, if you don't need me, that's fine. But
enjoy your afternoon, I presume.
Yeah, no, I have many things I can take care of. Then that's great. Although I'm missing out on my portion of the good food, which
you can come. I mean, we'll get you on today. It's going to.
That's all right. It's good. You guys handle that very well. It's always good. I rather hear from the chefs anyway, and the people. No, seriously.
Well, Nick, the owner of Stromboli's, is a season ticket holder for the Panthers.
Oh, good. All right.
Twice because they go to every freaking game, and as the series got extended, they kept going to late nights. They have a daughter, so they're like, I don't know if we can do this tomorrow.
All right, sounds good. All right, well, good luck with all of that, and always a pleasure, Lubie. And we will see you guys tomorroh. Thanks to Tony
I think we're doing some trivia. I think I heard from Gurgles that we do have trivia tomorrow.
Trivia tomorrow. Okay, good. Well, we'll get our players all lined up, and then of course Lubie's live trivia adventure with the professor, which is great. At Landlubbers, which that would have been a dynamite place. I would imagine that place was rocking for the Stanley Cup final.
It's 35 minutes from the arena.
Wow. Almost like being there. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Always appreciate the comments on the chat line and all of the good feedback we get here on the program. Thanks so much for being with us. For Mike Lubie Lubitz, I'm Jeff DeForest. We'll see you next time as we leave you now that.
The time.
It's 9:07.
Go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.